Hey friends, welcome back to Hot News. It's time to get into all of the hot news that we have for you guys today. Don't forget that we do include sources and timestamps in the video description, as well as timestamps in the pinned comment. So if you want to jump to a specific story that we cover here on the show, you're more than welcome to. I provide everything that you need to so that you don't complain about it. Imagine that. Wow, Brett, getting a little sarcastic with me, aren't you? Yeah, I am. I'm sorry, friends. Let's talk about today's sponsor for the show, which is our very own first team stream that we're going to be doing over on Twitch tomorrow. So if you follow us at twitch.tv/UFDisciple, link will be in the video description for that. Come head over. We will be doing some interesting things. We got a bit of goofs, gaffs, laughs, traps gonna go on. Here's a little demo that we did today so you can get a little feel of how we interact with one another.
In Twain, I will run you into. There's a chair, Reece.
Like I've set it up for just you to be like sharing.
Yes. There's a chair. Chairs on wheels.
Chair.
Can totally move.
You shut your mouth.
So are we set up for all those?
No.
What? No.
I'm gonna talk to HR. This is harassment.
I am HR and I say her. I trust you with my life.
I hate all of you.
What are you grabbing for?
I don't know. I know where you live.
No, you don't.
Just because you see a pile of trees doesn't mean it's Tank's house.
He was like, Reece!
And the answer is 3.
It's a solid maybe.
Yeah, so that's what you're gonna experience if you head on over to the UFD team stream tomorrow. So, what? What?
No! Bad bread.
So that's what you're going to expect to get if you head on over to the UFD team stream tomorrow. We're going to be starting at 10 a.m. South African Standard Time, which is 4 a.m. Eastern. So if you're bright and early or really late, either way, come join us. Now it's time to jump into the hot tech news. You got it, friends. First up for today's hot news, Canon introduced its first full-frame mirrorless camera today alongside a giant lens, which is the 24-70 f2, giant thing of just dreams of bokeh in your eyeballs. If you care at all about cameras, full-frame mirrorless from Canon, hitting the store shelves sometime soon. There you go. Speaking of retracted in eyeballs, Sony has officially announced the death of the PlayStation 2. No, you're not imagining things. People had that console over a decade ago. However, the end of life for support for these things in Japan, which is where it's endured its super long life, just kind of like an octogenarian, is Friday. You have until September 7th to get your PS2 fixed if you're in Japan. After that, ripperoni pepperoni, because PlayStation 2 gonna have to say goodbye, dear friends. I love my PS2 so much. Now it's time for another news story that Rikus cut out of yesterday's hot news when he wasn't supposed to. Rikus, play the Witcher one. All right, this wasn't supposed to originally go into hot news, but I just found it out. Guess who's going to play Geralt in The Witcher? I'm so miffed about this. Reese, who's your best guess? Would you guess Superman?
No!
Henry Cavill, I don't care. He is Geralt in The Witcher. Yes,
No.
He is Geralt. Why? I don't know. I don't care. Why? Why? He has not impressed me thus far, and now he's taking a franchise that I've thoroughly enjoyed. And by franchise, I mean one game.
He could pull the look off, maybe.
Sure.
I'm not sure about anything else, though.
Great. I'm now disappointed. Yeah, that's right, Rikus. Stop cutting out my favorite parts. The Witcher, Henry Cavill, Superman, why? Apple was the first company to hit $1 trillion market cap. Well, Amazon is joining their ranks. They just passed $1 trillion market value. Congrats, Amazon, for selling things to everybody, everywhere. Too bad you're kind of forcing tech companies to actually eat the 25% tariff that they're going to be having on on things that they sell, even though they barely take a 10% margin. Good job. Good guy, Amazon. At least it's better than Apple because you don't make everybody feel like a tool when using your product.
Why are you looking at me?
Speaking of Amazon and their tariffs and all of that goodness, this one actually comes out of a report from Gamers Nexus. Kind of actually was a byline that he made regarding some RTX cards and the profit margins that they're actually making, the AMD partners are actually making on these RTX series cards. And Steve kind of flippantly says that they're making less than 3%, 2.8% in some cases. which kinda was all the ammunition I necessarily needed to confirm information that I've been hearing behind the scenes, that retailers are being sold these cards from Nvidia's side at MSRP already. So that $1,000 for the 2080 Ti isn't what the consumer gets, it's what the retailer's getting, which indicates that Nvidia never actually wanted to sell these cards for MSRP, even when they stated that's what it was going to be at. From everything that I've gathered from behind the scenes with people that we've talked to in our contact list, as well as what Steve has kind of reiterated in this article of their hardware news, Nvidia has been super controlling over this launch. The pricing that they're giving out actually isn't the pricing that it's supposed to be. The stock is actually incredibly low, and there's something odd about this launch that doesn't line up with other launches. We can see that they're trying to clear out 10 series stock because we had those reports of them having 300,000 to over 1 million GPUs left unsold because of all of the AIB partners. And so the RTX cards are their way of pricing them out of the league of the 10 series, being able to still sell the 10 series and still getting the RTX 20 series out so that they can keep the mind share over AMD without actually providing any sort of real value to the everyday average consumer. This heavily indicates to me that Nvidia knew that they weren't going to hit these MSRP prices, and even Tom Peterson, in an interview that he did with Hot Hardware, stated that we are working really hard to drive that down so that there is supply at the entry point of the price, is basically what he's saying. We're building a ton of parts and it's the natural behavior of the market, which it really wasn't because there was no behavior of the market, you just introduced them at a high price. So it could just be the demand supply equation working its way into retailer pricing, but maybe there's more to it than that. Yeah, it's probably the fact that you're not giving these people any margin to actually make a profit off of these cards, and even if they took no profit, they would be screwed out of the market, because trying to get a card that costs you $1160 to produce because of the price that Nvidia is giving to you, on top, then you add on the things such as your cooler, your shroud, your fans, everything that you've designed there, plus your own R&D, they don't have a proper pricing, which is why we're not seeing the MSRP from any of the retailers, because Nvidia is selling them way too high to these people. At least that's what it looks like. At least that's what it seems like Steve from Gamers Nexus is hearing behind the scenes on the profit margins that these AIB partners are making. They are getting shafted from Nvidia. They are getting screwed over by Nvidia, and in turn, the consumer, even though we're supposed to be paying $100 to $200 less for MSRP, we can't possibly get them at those prices because these AIB partners aren't even making money off of them, which is kind of screwy. Not okay with this. This is something that I've been complaining about for a while. I'm going to keep complaining about it because it's not okay what's happening here with the pricing. They're making $30 to $50 on all of these graphics cards, which is absolutely horrific, and I'm not okay with this. Then in news that actually kind of makes me smile and is slightly positive before we get back to more Nvidia news, is that 2 Point Hospital, the game that just launched that was a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital, has officially dropped Denuvo DRMs from their game. Right before the game even launched, the Denuvo DRM had already been cracked, so the actual DRM wasn't really helping anything because you could get a cracked version no problem. So it seems like Sega and 2 Point Studios are working together to hopefully get the people who are against Denuvo DRM and actually have them buy the game as well, because there are some reports that Denuvo DRM does slow down your games even if you don't necessarily notice it. So good job, 2 Point Studios. I'm actually okay with this. Well done. I mean, it's a crash grab move, but it's the right one. And in one last story that makes me happy before we move on into more Nvidia shenanigans, AMD is now rumored to actually be releasing an Athlon Pro 200 GE, which is a cut down Raven Ridge at $55. So an AMD APU coming in at only 55 buccarinos. So it'll be a 2-core, 4-thread CPU with an integrated GPU that will likely have 3 Vega CUs and 192 stream processors, which won't be enough for gaming, but it will be for those like games that you don't admit that you play, like the Space Cadet Pinball. That'll be premium. Thank you, AMD, for going into the entry level. We need more competition there. I appreciate you. They're expecting it to be up to 90% faster than the Pentium G4560, so that's happy news. Thank you, AMD, for bringing competition to the market. Now let's move on into a story that's going to infuriate me about lack of competition. In a move that seems incredibly strange to me, which is basically about Battlefield 5 and the partnership with Nvidia and bringing ray tracing to the table. Doesn't look that impressive, does look that impressive, not the argument here. Apparently, even though the ray tracing is built on the Microsoft DirectX API DXR, which is for the ray tracing protocol, and therefore all graphics cards can actually support it. Even though that is the case, the company has confirmed that Battlefield 5 will not be able to be compatible with ray tracing with cards that aren't having RT cores or RTX cards. So basically, only the RTX 2070, 2080, 2080 Ti will actually be able to run ray tracing with with Battlefield 5. And you may wonder, well, Brett, why would you want to try to run ray tracing with a card that can't actually do ray tracing? That doesn't make any sense. They have the ray tracing cores, so they obviously must be better. You would think so. But there are reports that the 1080 Ti can actually do pretty well at ray tracing as long as it just brute forces it with its CUDA cores. It might not be on a 2070 level, but it actually might be acceptable within a few gigaраys or so. So that leads us to wonder, is Nvidia doing this so that they can showcase RTX and say no other card can do this, and they're forcing DICE and Battlefield and EA to implement a very strict protocol on these cards so that they can't run RTX because Nvidia is scared that nobody's gonna buy the RTX cards once they see that the 1080 Ti doesn't do half of a decent job to actually get this done. Don't make fun of my words, Reece. Obviously, there is the argument that this game has only been programmed to work with RTX cards for ray tracing, so cards that don't have ray tracing cores don't want to lose out, and they simply haven't had time to optimize DXR for non-ray tracing cards. That could be a potential argument. I'm more on the skeptical side of things based on everything that we've seen from Nvidia about this launch. I'm not necessarily happy with this. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a fast one by Nvidia, or do you think this is simply an optimization thing? Let me know up in the corner right there. Speaking of more game development news, it appears that Metro Exodus is not only going to have ray tracing built in, it's also going to have Hairworks and PhysX. Fantastic. Let's just implement all of the Nvidia features. I'm sure it'll look really good. Apparently the RTX demo ran at 1080p, 40 FPS. With a 2080 Ti, so that's fantastic. I can't wait for them to optimize it. Hopefully it will come out a little bit better. But NVIDIA features, slowing down your game since 1997. I don't know when NVIDIA features came out. That was just, wait, when were you born?
96.
No, slowing down your game since 1996. Now let's close off the NVIDIA news. It appears from video cards that they've announced that the embargoes or the reviews for the RTX cards will come up on the 17th and the 19th, which is 3 in 1 day prior to the actual launch of the cards. They had previously reported that it would be September 14th, but they realized that that is only the Turing architecture unveiling when you can actually discuss the bits and bobs of the GPU die and all of that goodness. The actual RTX 2080 reviews should drop on August 17th, whereas the 2080 Ti will drop on the 19th. We haven't signed an NDA or embargo, so this isn't coming to us as of yet. If I stop talking about these things, you should probably know that you're getting a review before release. I wouldn't count on it though. And last little bitty, it appears that EVGA has revealed their full RTX 20 series lineup, which they got more of that clear plastic stuff going on. I don't know what you're doing, EVGA. You look like you took a step backward in the design department. What do you guys think of these designs? It's cool that they do have a hybrid model launching. It's cool that they actually do have a full water block on the cards as well, but I am not a fan of what the EVGA has done with these designs. What do you guys think? Now in a bit of fun news, it turns out that Google Chrome in its next update is gonna have a password manager, which is gonna randomly generate a suggested password for you when you're signing up for services so that you don't use one twice. You use one that actually has some sort of security characteristic to it, like actually having special characters, uppercase, lowercase, all of that good stuff that makes a really strong password. Google Chrome's gonna start recommending it to you. Who knows how long it's gonna be until Google Chrome gets hacked though, and then everybody can just backwards access all of those passwords and then you're screwed. I don't know, this seems like a great implementation. I'm always wondering whether or not, can this be used against me? Oh look, it can. And that's gonna wrap it up for all of the hot news we have for today. Let me know, do you want a $50 AMD APU? Are you upset with Nvidia maybe fudging the numbers on their MSRP? And how do you feel about 2 Point dropping Denuvo DRM from their games? Good job, 2 Point Hospital, I'll say that. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Please get subscribed here on YouTube if you want to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content, don't forget to head on over to twitch.tv/UFDisciple to check out tomorrow's first UFD team stream. We're going to try to make it a bit of a goofy gander. We're going to try to make it something that you will thoroughly enjoy, and I will see your smiling faces in the next video. Love you too.